For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Welcome to this edition of the Focus program. Glad you are along. May is already with us, and that means sunshine, flowers, and getting outside and working in the yard. We've got two ladies that are going to be with us today that are going to talk to us about the one thing we really love around here, the St. Clair River. The Friends of the St. Clair River President, Sherry Faust, and the environmental educator, Amy Meeker-Taylor. Ladies, welcome to the Focus program.
Hey, Paul.
Hello.
Nice to see you. I got a press release from you guys this week that said that there's some exciting things happening. Maybe why don't we start with Sherry and talk about what's going on with the Friends of the St. Clair River.
Well, Friends of the St. Clair River, we have not missed a beat through all of this. Of course, we had to do a slight pause and pivot like many other people did, but we have moved our community outreach and environmental education virtually and online. But what we're really missing right now is the face-to-face connection with the thousands of students that we would normally be seeing right now in their classroom and out in the field and field trips. And that is what led us to creating this Sturgeon Story Contest, the community edition, because we wanted to take a program that we normally do with students in the classroom and make it available to anybody. So Friends of the St. Clair River is pushing forward with our stewardship and education and trail management. And during even these challenging times, the need for our services have not been canceled. So thankfully, we have not had to cancel our sturgeon education program too. And Amy can talk about that contest.
Well, Amy has sent us, or Sherry, both of you sent me a bunch of pictures. And Amy, let's get into those and talk about last year's contest and how people can become involved this year. And then when you finally pick a winner from these art drawings, they're going to be on display August 2nd at the new time of the Sturgeon Festival, which we'll talk about later in the program. But Amy, let's get started with some of the pictures.
Yes. So every year for the last 7 years, we've had about 700 entries in our Sturgeon Stories Contest, and it's fifth graders from all over St. Clair County. And we use the art to talk about sturgeon, to talk about sturgeon conservation. We use it in advertisements. And so we just couldn't see ourselves going another year without any art. So this year we decided to open up to anyone in the community. It's open to adults and kids and families. And we want them to create their sturgeon story. So it can be a drawing like you see here. It can be creative writing, which I think you'll see in a minute, or it can be a technical drawing, like this one is a scientific drawing. Any of those things are acceptable, and we just want to see what everyone has to share.
Boy, there's really a bunch of originality and difference in these. And these were all fifth graders?
They're all fifth graders, yep.
Wow. And tell me about this song, The Silver Sturgeon.
This one was done by a homeschool fifth grader last year, and she wrote this poem and she also did the drawing herself. And she, I think, was one of our winners last year. We usually narrow it down to about 20 finalists, and at the festival, we ask people to vote with their pocket change. And we're not going to do that this year. We'll announce the winners at the end of May, but then we'll actually have a lot of finalists on display at the festival. And this was a song written last year by a fifth grader, and it's to the tune of the Beatles song Blackbird about sturgeon swimming.
Our producer, Bruce Halliday, was trying to sing it, but I ran out of the room, so it would be... There's another one. So they're really creative, and the parameters are just whatever your imagination is.
Yep, the parameters are an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Any sort of media you want to use. If you have crayons, colored pencils, watercolors, whatever you have at home is fine. The only thing we really ask is that you focus on lake sturgeon.
Okay.
And that all your facts are correct and that you don't depict anything that's copyrighted, because then we can't use it.
Right. Sherry, you're the expert. That's not you holding is that you, Amy, holding the
It's me.
That's you?
Yep.
Tell us about capturing that or catching that.
So last year I got to go out on the St. Clair River and Lower Lake Huron with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I helped them with their sturgeon surveys. So they put out a set line at night, and then they go back the next day and they bring the fish in and they weigh them and they measure them. Sometimes if it's a female, they'll keep it to keep the eggs, but then eventually they do get released. So everything we catch is processed and then released back into the river or the lake.
So when the one you're holding there, how long is that? How heavy is it?
He was probably about 50 or 55 inches long, and he wasn't as heavy as he looks. I think he was 60 pounds, but it still takes 2 people to hold him.
Wow. And I've had the opportunity, Sherry let me touch one a few years ago, and it's really a very interesting touch to the sturgeon. Tell me about that.
We tell the kids they feel like slimy sandpaper.
Okay, that's a good description.
Yeah, because their bodies are covered in scutes and not scales, which is what makes them feel a little bit different than a regular fish.
Ladies, why are the sturgeons so unique here in the St. Clair River?
So we have the largest population of sturgeon in the Great Lakes, which is why we celebrate them and why we talk to kids about them. Scientists think that they're down to about 1% of the historic abundance of over 1 million fish. So scientists from all over the United States come here to study our sturgeon, and that's what we want the kids to know, is that this is something really cool that's happening in your backyard, and people come here to study sturgeon.
Sherry, in previous years, you take the Huron Lady and go out and drop cameras down. You'll miss that this year, won't you?
We are. We are missing a lot this year, and the significance about having the Sturgeon Story Poster Contest in May is that it always went along with the Sturgeon Festival, which in its 7-year history has always been held the first Saturday after Memorial Weekend. Well, this year we've had to shift Sturgeon Festival from May and to its new date, which is Sunday, August 2nd, which also happens to be a night of August full moon, which is called the Sturgeon Moon. So it's still going to have significance to sturgeon. So, we didn't, like Amy said, we didn't want to miss out on all of the sturgeon artwork this year. So we're really excited to see what community members send us and families and kids. And why sturgeon are so important and why we celebrate them in May is this is when they come to spawn underneath the blue water bridges. So we have a perfect opportunity to see them in May. So we will miss that window this year, but we're still going to be able to celebrate them in August. And sturgeon are a threatened species, so they cannot really be studied. Lake sturgeon are a threatened species. They really can't be studied anywhere else, and that's why they're so unique to the St. Clair River and Port Huron area.
Okay, let's talk about the registration. Bruce will throw that up there. Talk to me, Amy, about how we get involved. And this is just not fifth graders. This is everybody, right?
Yes. Yep, we're inviting everybody, adults, kids, it doesn't matter. We want to see what everyone has to offer. So the theme is Great Lakes Sturgeon. We have 3 categories. So visual art would be something like a drawing or an awareness poster. Technical drawings are things like a diagram of a sturgeon or a diagram of a sturgeon life cycle or the timeline of sturgeon in the Great Lakes. And then creative writing is all that poetry and short stories and songs. And we give you some ideas to bring the focus of your poster down. So the importance or the history of lake sturgeon life cycle, their habitat or biology, and also just fish protection and the importance of clean water and pollution prevention as it relates to sturgeon.
Okay, the requirements, you got to have it into the Friends of the St. Clair River by May 22nd, which gives you a little time to do it. And if you go ahead, Amy.
You can mail it, so our mailing address is there. Also, you can scan it or take a picture of it and email it to me. My email address is there. It's just education@scriver.org. Use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Don't misspell anything or use copyrighted material. And then make sure on the back of it that you have your name, your age if you're under 18, and then an adult's name if you're under 18, and a way to contact you.
Okay. And there's no entry fee.
Nope.
And here comes the judging. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we choose our winners based on their accuracy, creativity, and originality. We'll announce our winners at the beginning of June, and there'll be a prize package. And again, they'll be awarded based on age and also based on category, and we'll display a lot of them at the festival. Okay.
SturgeonFestival.com, that's the webpage, SturgeonFestival.com. And the new date is August the 2nd. And obviously, ladies, we'll be talking again before then about about what's going on. Maybe you can come on with the winners and when you pick them, and that'd be great. But I just think it's such a great project for the community, and especially now you're looking for things to do with your kids, let alone the fifth graders, all of them. Get everybody involved. You'll take all the nominations, all the pictures you can get, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. From if you're 2 years old or 102 years old, we want to see your submissions. And we'll be able to share, and we'd love to share them with you, Paul, back on the show. That would be great at the end of May.
We'd like to do that. Anything else, ladies, before we go?
I don't think so. Just get your artwork in,
Okay.
and go to sturgeonfestival.com for all of the rules and submissions and some background information and examples of previous winners.
Okay, very good. Thank you, ladies. Talk to you soon. We'll talk to you before the end of May, and we'll be glad to have you back on. That's about it for this edition of the Focus program. Thanks very much for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Paul Dingeman. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Focus with Paul Dingeman. Focus is produced at the CTV Community Television Studios in St. Clair. For over 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter to our community.